Hi, I'm Matt from Wex Photographic, and today I'm going to be explaining how to master your camera's drive modes. Your camera's drive or release modes allow you to control exactly how and when your camera captures images, from single frames and bursts to delayed exposures. We're going to take a look at some of the most common options available and when you might want to use them, and also have a look at a few things you might want to bear in mind before you start shooting. Most of the images we take can be successfully captured using the standard single frame mode. This captures one image upon each press of the shutter release button on your top plate, and it's perfectly suitable for everyday subjects such as portraits, group shots, street scenes and close-ups. Continuous or burst shooting allows you to carry on taking images by holding down the shutter release button. This is great for sports or other action photography where you need to capture quickly or else risk missing the action. Many cameras now offer two versions of this mode. One which is designed to shoot at a high frame rate, such as 6 frames per second, and one at a lower frame rate, such as 2 or 3 frames per second. The maximum frame rate will be determined by your camera, although on some models you may be able to specify frame rates for each. Something to remember about these modes is that the rate at which you can capture images is determined by a number of factors other than your camera's maximum burst rate. The memory card you use is perhaps the most crucial, as transfer speeds vary considerably across different cards. So, if you plan on doing lots of continuous shooting, make sure to check the data transfer rates and particularly the maximum write speed between different cards before you buy. Another thing which can slow you down is your image settings. You'll typically be able to capture more images for a longer period of time if you're only capturing JPEG images rather than RAW images or RAW and JPEG images at the same time. Other settings such as noise reduction, dynamic range optimization and distortion correction all add to the time it takes to process each image too, which also stands to slow you down during a burst, so make sure you only have these turned on if you definitely need them. The self-timer option is found on cameras of all levels, and it's useful in a wide range of applications. Most people recognise it as the option to use for group images which feature the photographer, as this allows them to place themselves in the frame, although it's also useful when capturing macro images without a remote release or long exposures when you need the camera to be as still as possible during the exposure to prevent image blur. Many cameras offer a choice of 2 and 10-second self-timers. The former is fine for long exposures and macro shots, although many photographers use the 10-second timer instead for absolute stability. The 10-second timer is also useful for long exposures when you need to move away from the camera prior to the exposure taking place, such as when any of your movements stand to be picked up by the camera. Your camera may also have a separate remote release option or give you the option of using a remote release with one of the modes already mentioned. This allows you to focus and expose an image with either a wired or wireless remote release. This is also useful for the same kinds of images as the self-timer, although it is more flexible. For example, depending on the remote release you've got, you might be able to program the camera from a considerable distance, or even use it to take consecutive frames at regular intervals for time-lapse footage if your camera doesn't have an intervalometer built into it. Some of the more recent cameras contain a handful of additional options, such as the quiet mode. This may feature in single frame or both single and continuous versions, and it allows you to shoot more discreetly than usual. The way it does this is to separate the sounds of the shutter opening and closing and the movement of the mirror, so that you end up with two quieter sounds rather than the combined sound of both. The mirror up option, available on some cameras, works on a similar principle to the quiet mode, although its purpose is to minimise vibrations which can cause image blur when working on a tripod. With this mode, you can raise the mirror once you've finished composing your image in one action, and then take the image without the mirror's movement affecting sharpness in another. You can also use this mode with remote releases, which is a good way to get maximum sharpness for tripod-based images. For more tips and advice, subscribe to our channel, visit us on Twitter, Facebook or Google+, or check out wexphotographic.com/blog.